morning and welcome to Cover 2 Cook. We are on episode 71. Today is January 26th, and we have two NFL games that will decide who is going to the Super Bowl. So exciting day. We'll also give our bets as well to these games. But before I get too far, let me bring on my co-host, Mr. Tim Cook. How you doing today?
Doing good. I'm excited. Championship Sunday. We've got four quarterbacks. We got a possible quarterback of a rookie quarterback going to the Super Bowl. Never happened before. You got the Eagles. If they win, they haven't been to the Super Bowl since, I think, 2017. On the other side, you got Buffalo. Buffalo hasn't made it since 1995, kind of with the Commanders. Got to root for them. And then you got KC there. This is another seventh AFC championship. We've been here every year.
Yeah. Well, let's get started. Let's talk about that Eagles versus Commanders. These teams have played each other twice since they're both in the same division. The last time they played, I believe, is the start of Jaden Daniels' run, where we've seen this quarterback that we're like, damn, as a rookie quarterback, he's so smooth. If you remember in that game, the Eagles lost Jalen Hurts early in this game, which I remember because he was on my fantasy team and pretty much screwed me that week. But this was the run. This is what Jaden Daniels always had, this cool, calm, collective mindset all year. But that game, they were kind of fighting all game to just take over, and they did it within the last minute. But what do you think about this game on this Sunday?
Yeah, I think Commanders are hot right now. I mean, they're just playing extraordinary good ball. I think on the defense for the Commanders, try to control AJ Brown and Devontae Smith and make that team one-dimensional. Yep. Make them run the ball. Now, you say that, you go, well, yeah, but they got the best runner, Saquon Barkley. But you know what? I think they can, if they can make them one-dimensional and slow down, I think the Commanders on defense have got a hell of a chance to win this game. So
I agree. I think you actually could go the other way. I think you need to stop the run and make them pass the ball. Make Jalen Hurts, with an injured Jalen Hurts, be a part of the offense. If he hands the ball off today, ain't no problems. But if he has to step back, get out of the pocket, throw on the run, what are you going to see? Slide because he's going to take a sack. Whatever. I think that's the thing. Also, you have all this controversy of the A.J. Brown, all that other stuff. It's slowed down a little bit since the last game. But this is one of those games where you just need to stop the run. When you look back at the Rams versus Eagles, who dominated that game? Saquon Barkley. Yeah. 2 yards, 2 touchdowns in that game, where one of them looked like it was 1 week earlier because there was no snow. One looked like it had 10 feet of snow. So I think in this game you have to slow down the run with Saquon. Stack the box. Stack it. Make them throw it over the top. Make them have to do the deep ball because it's just not as reliable as you've seen Saquon Barkley with over 2,000 rushing yards in the regular season.
Right. And I think on offense, for the Commanders too, just spread the ball out. Pick a Jaden Daniels. Just pick your spots when you need to run, when you need to throw the ball, just like he did last week. I mean, there was that one play on the Lions where he just kind of went outside the tackle box and just kind of ran for 10 yards. And then he was throwing down. Just keep doing that. I mean, make the big plays,
I agree. And I looked this up today. ESPN data, okay? ESPN, who has the better ranking offense? What is it, Commanders or Eagles? Who do you think?
I think it's Commanders.
It is, and that blows me away. Because when you turn on ESPN today, you're going to hear all the analysts talk about how high-powered that offense of the Eagles are. Man, oh man, can they run the ball? Can they throw the ball? And at the same time, you're sitting here being like, well, what about the Commanders? Now, the Commanders don't get me wrong, have got their roses this past week because they're one of 4 teams left in this playoffs. But when I looked it up today, the Commanders are number 7 in NFL. Eagles are number 8. Now, when we talk about defenses, you know what the difference between that one is? 1 and 29.
Yeah.
The Commanders' defense has to play out of their mind today, while the Eagles' defense has been playing very, very well. I think Commanders are going to have to throw the ball today. I think they're going to have to get McLaurin obviously involved. I didn't see any weather situations in this game, so I don't think that's going to be a contributing factor. But McLaurin, what's the tight end that's became a huge factor?
Ernst. Yeah.
Yes. No. Yeah. Yeah. Which ex-Philadelphia Eagle, so because he kind of won a Super Bowl with them, I believe. But yeah, I definitely think this game is going to come down to can they stop the run on the offense and can they throw the ball on, or can they stop
Yeah.
the run on defense and throw the ball on offense?
Well, and he's got to put his receivers in good position, good spots to throw the ball. I mean, just like he threw that dime to McLaurin, and I can't think of the other receiver's name. I mean, he threw dimes. I mean,
Yep.
the guy's got one arm on him, and he still could go and catch, and he was through a perfect pass. So I mean, that's going to be huge.
Yeah, I agree, and I think it's Coleman. And then the other thing we have to talk about too in this game is Jalen Hurts. I know I just brought that up real quick, but like how Jalen Hurts is going to look. So I believe it's a hip injury or it's a knee or something like that. After the last game with the Rams, it there's some injury. Jalen Hurts since honestly against Washington has been one of these players where you're kind of like don't hit him, like watch what you're doing, kind of being conservative. Right. That's going to be hard because I know you'll have 2 weeks off if you win this game to the Super Bowl. You hope you get healthy by then. But when you look at this game, can you get past the Commanders with this? Now, I laugh because Jalen Hurts was so reliable at the beginning of this year. There was not a single time where, and as much as he runs the ball, you're always waiting for that moment. Wasn't. He gets hurt against Commanders, sits out the next 2 weeks, comes back in this playoffs, and then now the knee injury. How are we going to see that today? Is it going to be bad with throwing? Is it going to be bad with running? What are we going to see? What do you think?
I mean, I think another thing too is, you're saying get Saquon going, get the yard. I mean, he is a second half rusher.
Yeah.
I mean, he's had a majority of his yards this year have been in the second half. I think with Jalen, I think he's been a different player since that concussion.
Yeah.
I think he's playing different. He's being more cautious, and that's not the Jalen. That's not what got that team that far this year, with only 2 losses or 3 losses, whatever. But he just looks like he's playing cautious. Well, and that's not his MO. I mean, he is get outside and run or get the ball down the field. One of the two.
Yeah, and I think it helps Saquon when Jalen Hurts is a threat in the running game as well, with those play actions or the RPOs and things like that. If it's deciding whether he's going to take off running or not, I think that kind of brings a little bit into the whole Saquon thing too. But who you got in this game? Because the line right now is at 6, which I think is tons of points. Who do you have in this game?
The Commanders have covered the spread each of the last 4 games against teams with winning records. Commanders have the momentum right now by beating the Bucs and the Lions, while the Eagles barely got by, the Packers and the Rams. I like the Commanders today, winning the game. I think they can win the game outright. I really can. I really do. But since I'm getting the 6 points, I'm going to take the 6 points. But I think they can beat them outright.
I agree.
They're hot right now.
I agree. I go in the same way in this one. The only problem with this game that makes me nervous when they see the 6 points is like, what does someone know? Are they expecting, because these two teams have played each other twice this year, that they know each other's playing cards, they know how they're going to come into this game? I think if you are the Eagles, I think you come in throwing the ball instead of running the ball, because you show, hey, you're not going to – if you can't stop the pass, the run's coming. Yeah. So I said that with the Notre Dame, Ohio State, and then Notre Dame went down on a 20-some play running attack game. So maybe I'm wrong. But I think Commanders are definitely way too hot right now. I think Jane Daniels – I think the Cinderella story ends today, though. I think the Eagles do win this game, but I don't think they win it by more than 6. I'm taking Commanders -6 as well. I would love for the Commanders to win. I think it would be a great story. I love the comment that I saw yesterday that Dan Snyder at dinner got asked about what he thinks, the past owner of the Commanders. How do he thinks? He goes, it's effing hard to watch. Yeah, bud, because now they've invested into it. It's obviously hard, you old piece of F off. Like, he's for him to even be like, it's for someone to even have the question to ask him. I've kind of been waiting to see what Dan Snyder had to say because he tanked him. He did for so long. So good to see them being relevant again.
And most definitely.
Well, that moves us to the evening game, which is the classic game, Bills versus Chiefs. I'm looking at this one. The last times the Bills played the Chiefs in the regular season, the Bills won this one off of Josh Allen's back. Let's be 100% honest. I bet against them last week, so I was like, you know what? I'm going to wear my Buffalo Bills sweatshirt. I never ordered this. I'm not a part of Bills Mafia, so don't do all that stuff. I ordered a Denver Broncos sweatshirt, and they kept sending me a Bills. It was a sign from someone eventually, you need to be a Bills sweatshirt. When you look at this game, it's obviously the quarterbacks. The quarterbacks are going to be the star of this game. Patrick Mahomes, Josh Allen. Josh Allen is on a year of historic for him, lowest amount of turnovers this year. I mean, I had him on fantasy last year, and it seemed like every third throw was an interception or it was a touchdown, right? This year, he's been more consistent than ever. Well, now you go against Patrick Mahomes that does not turn the ball over in the postseason. Just does not at all. So you're looking at this game. I think this is going to be a classic, but what do you think about this game?
Yeah, I think this could be the game of the year, really. I really do. I think this is going to be a classic. You know, these two teams played, like you said, in the regular season. Buffalo won, but they've not beat them in the playoffs.
Yep.
I think they're like 3-1 in the regular season. We're like 0-3 in the playoffs. And we all remember that 13 seconds at the end of the game, when you give Mahomes that much time, they came back and won, and then they didn't get the ball back. And then they changed that rule. But anyway, Chiefs are in their 7th straight AFC championship, while the Bills would like to get back to the Super Bowl for the first time since 1995. 30 years, Bills fans. You've been agony for it, and now you got to beat the king to get there. You know, it seems like the Chiefs all year, it's just been winning. Just win, baby, but barely. Yeah. So when is the clock going to strike 12 on this team and say, okay, we it's not going to be our game. So,
I think you do look at the Chiefs. This is the weakest Chiefs team out of the past 3 years.
I agree.
I don't think they are as fundamentally sound as they've been in the past. But it's hard to say that when you see a game like last week where Travis Kelce has a dominant game and you're like, man, I just thought he was too old. And you see Patrick Mahomes taking off running. Now, I'm going to tell you right now, the first play of this game, when Josh Allen gets the ball, should be taken from the longest yard. And when Adam Sandler throws that football at the ref's
I've seen that meme too. God, that was hilarious.
And once he does it once, you say, hey, you going to start calling it fair?
Yeah.
No, you're not going to. Do it again. All right? Take it. I think he's right off the bat. You just let the refs know this is going to be a fair game. This ain't going to be the one-sided game. I think it's funny we're saying this because I've also seen clips this week of when the Chiefs were playing the Patriots back in the day, and there was calls going the Patriots' way, and they're like, well, it always – we go into these games thinking there's going to be calls going a certain way. Now, I'm going to tell you right now, Patrick Mahomes, I think you took enough from media this week about doing that little flop on the sideline. Yep. You do shit like that again, and you're going to get a lot of haters. So don't do that shit. But I'll tell you right now, the calls are going to go your way because the NFL's invested in you. They need you. Without you, they do have a less of a season with this. So be conscious of that, but let's also remember, the refs are not out for one team. But in case you do see a Josh Allen, you know where to aim. Because I would never want to take a fastball there from him.
I think the key for the Bills on offense is they got to have explosive plays. Yeah. They have scored on at least 50% of their drives this year, which is whether that be a field goal or a touchdown. So I think on defense, stop them on third downs. You've got to get off the field. That's where Patrick Mahomes is the toughest. That 3rd and 6, 3rd and 7, he throws the ball down to Kelce because Kelce's just sitting right in the middle of the field. He just sits there. So, I think that's going to be a key for you've got to stop that. Get off the field. Make him, one-dimensional and kind of bottle him up a little bit in the pocket. Because when you do that, he's not that – he struggles. So –
well, and I think this game's I said this game's going to come down to turnovers. If you go back to look at that Ravens versus Bills, I think the Ravens were the better team on that field that day, even with all happened. And it did come down to a catch that Mark Andrews didn't make or whatever.
Right.
I hate to see how much has come towards him hate-wise.
I know.
Because that guy has done nothing but given everything he can for that organization. Yep. Shouldn't have came down to that in all reality.
No.
But you have a fumble, and I think that's where you look at this game. If they can cause turnovers against KC, who is just so conscious of how they handle the ball, this game can turn. You will be facing a crowd that is used to these, where you had it at your own place against the Ravens. I think the Bills are on an uphill battle. But if there was a team that could do it, I think it's this Bills team because all year we've been sitting there saying they're not that team. They don't have the weapons anymore. They don't have this. They don't have the defense. Right. Von Miller's too old. He needs to retire. And look at who's stepping up when it's playoff time. So I think if there's a team, it's this Bills team today.
Yeah, and I think the key for the Chiefs is get Kelce going early and often. He had over 100 yards receiving last week, on the field. And put him in the middle of the field like you've always done. and let him do his magic. Let Mahomes do his magic. Run outside, act like he's going to slide, and then don't slide, and then slides, and then whatever his BS that he does. But I mean, that's the key too. And then on defense, I think for Kansas City, Chris Jones is going to have a monster game. He has got to put pressure on Josh Allen. Him, Drew Tranquil, Justin Reed, their defensive backs. They have got to, bottle up, secure Kincaid, and just take care of that. I mean, and also too, Buffalo. I mean, they're gonna have to James Cook. He might be the X factor. If he has a monster game, it could get ugly.
Well, and if you're Kansas City, you got to keep Josh Allen in the pocket.
Yeah.
I mean, if you go look at that regular season game, which you were saying the stats of that, they are 3-0, or they're 4-0 in the regular season. Buffalo is against KC. They're 0-3 in the playoffs coming to this game, right?
Yes.
I think every time, and I see what Andy Reid does. He lets Buffalo, because that game is so important during the regular season, he lets them show everything, but doesn't show anything. And then when you look at that game back, Josh Allen put it on his back. I mean, that run that he's hit backwards and he's falling in the end zones backward. Like, that's what you're going to need today. I'm worried that they're going to keep him in the pocket. They're not going to let him get outside. Chris Jones is going to be, I think, on the defensive side is the X factor. Can he get to Josh Allen? Right. Can he get to him? Because if he can get into him and get a little bit of it, I just think Josh Allen, we talked you up last week because you did not do more than what you had to do. We said Lamar, that's what Lamar needs to grow up to do. Josh Allen, we thought you learned, but we got to see it today. Today is that game where it feels like you're going to get a lot of pressure. You're going to be put in bad situations. Can you just do what needs to be done? Don't do too much, because it is your kryptonite, but it is also what makes you Superman at the same time.
Well, and that's been the key that all year. Just do what the defense gives you. Yeah. Just dink and doink and eat up clock. Keep Mahomes keep Mahomes on the sideline, not off the sideline, on the sideline. Just do like you did against Baltimore. Whatever the defense is giving you, that's what the play is. I mean, just don't get too cute, as people would say. Don't try to do too much, because that's what's gotten you in trouble, and that's why you're 0-3 in the playoffs.
Yeah, and I want to give a interesting take here, or an interesting question. Who do you think will be sitting in the box with Taylor Swift today?
Oh.
Who do you think will be sitting in the box with her? Caitlin Clark was there last week. Who do you think's in there with her this week?
I don't know.
It ain't going to be Blake Lively, because she's kind of getting dragged through the mud.
Maybe it's Beyonce or something. No, it can't be Beyonce.
No, it's another musical. You know what I think? I don't give a shit. I'm sorry. If I see Taylor Swift more than 10 times today, yes, it is great for football. Just like what we're doing on Cover 2 Cook, where we're bringing Lisa in for trivia. That is a great segment. It also brings in a lot of fun. We're going to be bringing Lisa back on Wednesday to talk about what she's going to learn today in these games. Now, Honey came home at 4:30 in the morning because of a volleyball tournament. So she can sleep all she wants, but 2 o'clock rolls around, she's watching some football, okay?
Right.
But I think it's great to bring to the NFL. But I swear, if Kansas City gets up, I do not want to see all this about Taylor Swift. And here's why. Here's why I'm going to say it. Not because I hate Taylor Swift. I don't care about Taylor Swift. I'm not a Swiftie, but I don't care. It's the fact of I want to see the fans, the ones that have been there from day one on either side, right? Whether it's Buffalo or whether it's KC, the ones that have seen their teams just go through hell, because KC's gone through hell, and the teams that have now been, oh my gosh, KC could go for the 3rd Super Bowl and possibly win their 3rd Super Bowl. I want to see those fans, because those are the fans that deserve to be on TV. Those are the ones that are paying those high prices when they only make a certain amount of money. Taylor Swift, when she does this is just a penny in a bucket.
Yep. It's a PR deal for the NFL.
Yeah.
Pretty much.
I wanted to ask that because I saw someone go, who do you think's going to be in there? And they started naming all these people, and the guy that asked it goes, yeah, I don't give a shit. I don't know why. And I was like,
right.
But I did want to give one other stat before we get into our bets of this one. Since 2021, there's been 125 drives in the NFL postseason with less than a minute in the game, and the team on offense has been trailing by 7 or less points. Now, I got this stat from Trey Wingo, so I'm not copywriting it. I heard him say this first. At least 7 points or fewer. This is your absolute clutch. We say this is where we compare Michael Jordan to LeBron and other sports. This is where Tom Brady, we asked Tom Brady, Tom Brady is 7 for 12. Comes out to be like 40-some percent, 46%, okay? Drew Brees is 3 for 6 on these drives, 50%. But there is one man that is 100%, and that is Patrick Mahomes is 7 for 7. When the game is on the line, he finds a way to tie the game or win the game. Now, I know that right there just brings up some absolute trauma for Buffalo because they've been a couple of those drives, right?
Right.
But 7 for 7. I will tell you right now, he is a first ballot Hall of Famer already.
Yeah.
But when we talk about GOATs, I am sorry. I get you can get to the Super Bowl as many times as you can. I think the conversation has always been Joe Montana and Tom Brady.
Yeah.
But Patrick Mahomes is what, 29, 30 years old, 28 years old?
Yeah.
And he is about to go for his 3rd Super Bowl. And the only team that is in his way to stop him to go to that Super Bowl is the craziest freaking fans, the craziest team, and the craziest atmosphere. Unfortunately, it's just in Kansas City. But Bills Mafia, you got to show up for this game. That stat alone puts me like, it's so hard. It's so hard to be like not a fan of Patrick Mahomes.
Right. Most definitely. And yeah, that is a, he's clutch. He is clutch. And he's like the Tom Brady that we had back in the 2000s and 2010s. He's clutch. You can't bet against him until he loses.
Well, speaking of that, how are you betting today?
All right. Against the spread, KC is 7-10, while the Bills are 10-7 against the spread. But you know what? It's hard to bet against Mahomes. I see the point spread is at 2.5 today. If you want to be safe and take the 2.5, I think they win. I mean, I think they win outright. I think they win by at least 7. But wow. I think Mahomes is going to just be Mahomes. Like you said, that key stat there of 7 for 7. It's hard to bet against them, and I'm just going to take them. I mean, if you want to do, I mean, the money line I think would be cheaper than would be to take the points, or what? Yeah. How would that?
Because they're giving points. So
right. So that would be a safer bet just to win. Yeah. But I'm taking Mahomes in the 2.5.
Yeah. I want to take a moment right here because I want to sit in the locker room with this Bills team real quick right here. Bills fans and Josh Allen. If there was ever a year where the whole country outside of Kansas City was on your side, it is this moment. Josh Allen, they told you that you're not good enough to get to these games. Buffalo, they told you you're rebuilding. Instead, you showed them you're reloading. You make it to this AFC Championship. You're ready for this. That team deserves to go to the Super Bowl this year. Those fan base jumping off cars and landing on tables half the time, they're just landing on cement. And they'll do it 100 times if they can get their team to the Super Bowl. They are throughout the United States of straight dogs for fans. Buffalo, you deserve this. You are the team that's got to get you to this team has to take this team down, because all we're going to hear about for the next 2 weeks is New England versus them and Patrick Mahomes and Travis Kelce and all the loves and all this. Buffalo, this is your moment. Now, with that being said, I'm going to be wearing this sweatshirt all day because I'm a huge fan of you guys. I'm going to be rooting for you, but I'm not betting for you. I'm going KC minus 2.5. I agree with you. I would not go over the points, though, because I think it's going to come down to the end with this game. I'm sorry, Bills Mafia. I love what you do. Ketchup, mustard, all that crazy crap. You guys are awesome. But unfortunately, you had to go through Tom Brady, and now you're going through Patrick Mahomes, and you're just not going to be on the other side of this one. I like Patrick Mahomes and this Chiefs today.
It's hard to bet against. I mean, until he goes down, and it would be nice. I mean, the Bills haven't been to the Super Bowl since '95. But here's the deal too: if you're going to root for them to go there, God, they got to win it too. They've never won it neither.
Yep.
So they've been there. They just never won. I mean, being there is one thing, but you gotta. I mean, they got. If they get there, they've got to win it all. Because then it's going to be, well, they made it to another Super Bowl, but they didn't do anything. They choked again. It's just like this team is, if they're going to win, and like you said, this is the perfect opportunity for the Chiefs to be beaten. Yeah. Because they don't have, all year they've been just sliding by. and I think it could be their day today. But it's hard to, as a betting person, how could you not bet with the Chiefs?
Yep. Well, and here's the funny thing too is everyone's on Bill Mafia this week, right? Everyone's for the Bills. But if the Commanders win that game at 2:00 and the Bills win, you're now the enemy because everyone's going to be rooting for the Commanders. So just get ready for that because if it does get to the point where we made it to the Super Bowl, but if the Commanders on that other side can make it there,
now
you're probably going to be the enemy because everyone's going to root for the Commanders.
Right. They'll be the country darlings. Everybody, they're the Cinderella. So everybody's going to jump on the Commanders.
Yep. So it is. It'll be a fun day. I mean, I so sad. I mean, we've been talking about this. I was talking with Lisa. Like I've canceled my Red Zone a couple weeks ago. Having now this like 2 games. Then I mean, after today, we have one more game of that. We're actually going to be changing how we're doing Cover 2 Cook a little bit as well. We won't be doing Saturdays and Sundays until we get to Super Bowl Sunday. We'll do a special Super Bowl Sunday podcast. But we will be posting on Wednesdays and Fridays going forward, 2 days a week. Since there's not going to be as much to talk about, coachings. On Wednesday, we'll talk about the Dallas Cowboys because I don't want them to even have any airtime today with what's happening because this is Jerry Jones's playbook. Is to have conversation today about them, even though they're not even close to being relevant. But we will be back on Wednesday. We'll ask Lisa what she learned today. And then next Friday, we'll be back with trivia as well. That seemed to be a big hit. Hopefully we can do better. If anyone's out there seeing that, hey, I could do better. Let me know. Because all it takes is a text message to have you join this thing. And I'm telling you right now, it's a lot harder when the lights are on and it's ready to go for those questions. But we do want to thank everyone for joining, everyone sharing, commenting, posting of all of our stuff. I hope you guys have a great day. Enjoy these games. Go Bills Mafia. Go Commanders. But let's win money on the other side of this one. Everyone have a great day, and we'll talk to you later.